Hello everybody, this is TipTopMTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over Jumpstart and the top 10 most expensive cards. Now, there's a lot of spoilers for Jumpstart and, it was crazy. They announced them, some cards were spoiled by people, some were just randomly added to a gallery. So I thought it would be really important to look at the top 10 most expensive cards so you guys know what to look out for when you're opening packs. There are just too many cards to be able to know, or for me to be able to tell you, here are the good cards. And so while price isn't always everything, and it's often not everything, generally a expensive card is going to have an impact somewhere in the game. So why don't we break these down? Starting off, we have Shieldred, Whispering One. This is a 7-cost black legendary creature Praetor 6/6 with Swamp Walk, and it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. So this is $17.99. So yes, the 10th most expensive card in the set is $17.99, which is very high. For instance, if you guys saw my Core Set 2021 video, you'll note that that one had, I believe, $9.99 is the lowest one. Now, you do have to take into account the fact that there are a lot more cards in Jumpstart, so proportionally there should be more at the top to offset that. But this product is so different, it's going to be very hard to be able to tell if it's a good value or not. So, moving on to number 9, we have Ghoul Collar Gisa. It's a 5-cost black 3/4 legendary human wizard, and you can pay a black and tap and sacrifice it, and create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. So, essentially, you are going to say you sacrifice a 1/1, you're going to turn 1 power into 2 power. If you have a 10/10, you're turning it into 20 power. So this card is insanely powerful. It's going to be very good in Commander, or it is very good in Commander, and it's just a very powerful card. So yeah, not bad. Next, we have Selvala, Heart of the Wild. It's a 3-cost legendary elf scout 2/3, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. And then you can pay a green and tap and add X mana in any combination of colors, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So it's going to let you draw cards for playing the biggest creatures, which if this is in your deck, you're probably playing the biggest creatures, and then it's going to let you ramp to get those big creatures. This card is everything you want, and at least it's generating 1 extra mana, even if it's the only creature on the battlefield. So yeah, keep that in mind. This card is just really good no matter when you play it. So I expect this to see a lot of, these are reprints, so me saying I expect them to see a lot of play, but like within Historic, I expect this to see a decent amount of play. Either way, yeah, pretty crazy reprint here. Next, we have Linvala, Keeper of Silence. It's a 4-cost white legendary angel 3/4 with flying. It says activated abilities of creatures your opponent's control can't be activated. The reason this one's so expensive, it's a pretty good sideboard card against a lot of different decks. So by including this, it's pretty good at it can help you shut down your opponent, and so it's a pretty good sideboard card in other formats. Alrighty, so next up we have Heuristic Study. It's a 3-cost blue enchantment, and it says whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. So at worst, this is just making all of your spells your opponent's cast cost one more to cast. At best, it's whenever your opponent draws a card, casts a spell, you draw a card. And so either way, this card is utterly insane, and at 3 mana, this is enough to be a draw engine all on its own. This is really good in Commander. It's not coming to Historic, just keep an eye out for this one. This one is an absolute powerhouse. Next, we have Rise of the Dark Realm. It's a 9-cost black sorcery, and it says put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. So this is just a way to just win the game, pretty much. You're going to take everything from everywhere and just throw it onto the battlefield, and unless your opponent has a board wipe, and assuming you built your deck right, you're going to have some very massive things on the battlefield, probably some Eldrazi Titan if we're talking about older formats here. So yeah, this is a pretty good card. Next up, we have Oracle of Moldiah. It's a 4-cost green creature elf shaman 2/2, and it says you may play an additional land in each of your turns. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play lands from the top of your library. So it's going to let you just ramp like crazy. Not only if you have a bunch of lands in your hand can you play them, but you can also get them off the top of your library. And every time you do that, it's almost the equivalent of drawing a card because you're getting it out of the way. And so that's at $24.99. Now, you'll notice there hasn't been a big increase. You know, the very first one is not that far away from $24.99. So you'll notice it's not going up that sharply, which you could say is a little bit of a concern, but yeah, it's not bad so far. Next up, we have Exquisite Blood. It's a 5-cost black enchantment. It says whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. The reason this is so expensive is because it's part of an infinite combo. There's one that says whenever you gain life, an opponent loses that much life. So if you have both on the field, it's an instant win. So this one's at $24.99, similar to the previous card. Next up, we have Emil the Blessed. It's a 4-cost white 4/4 legendary unicorn. It says pay 3, exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay a Selesnya, so either green or white. And if you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If it's a unicorn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Now, this is, I believe, the only new card that's been on the list so far. Maybe number 1's a new card, we don't know yet. But yes, this is the first one to see, and it's still at $24.99, which means that there has not been that big of a price range at the top here. But again, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing to have a lot of the top end instead of just like, oh, here's 2 really expensive cards, hope you get them, versus having a nice amount of good costing cards. So I think that this is a pretty decent card. Now, I guess I should have mentioned this a little bit ago. This is in US dollars, and it's also pre-order prices on Card Kingdom. If you're looking and the prices are completely different now, that's probably because they've changed. This is shortly after spoilers, so expect these prices to change. Either way, why don't we move into the number 1 most expensive card, that being Craterhoof Behemoth. It's an 8-cost green creature beast 5/5 with haste, and when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So this essentially says pay 8, win the game if you have creatures. If you just have 5 1/1s, alright, you're going to play this. All of those 1/1s are getting +6/+6 and trample. This thing's getting +6/+6 and trample. So you have an 11/11 and 5 6/6s with trample. You are probably going to win the game. So this card essentially just reads, you win the game. Which, you know, for 8 mana, that's fine, but a lot of people don't pay 8 mana. I just really like this as a nice, you know, this is how I plan on winning the game in a commander deck, and it's nice to see the reprint. Now, you'll notice here we're at $29.99. That's not that big of a jump from the original, or from the 10th most expensive card, which I think is a good thing. There's no, you know, the most expensive card from Jumpstart is equal to the most expensive card from Core Set 2021, which is kind of interesting, especially saying Jumpstart has some really insane reprints. But again, remember, these are pre-order prices. They are likely to change. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think some of these cards are overpriced? I think a couple of them may be a little bit too high, and of course these are pre-order prices. If you can wait, I recommend doing so. We're still about a month out from release, so it'll be interesting to see how these prices change moving closer to that date. But overall, the set is looking pretty good. I'm excited to do it on MTG Arena. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful, please hit that like button. And if you really enjoyed, please hit the subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next video.